Today we're going to cover Cambridge IGCSE English as a Second Language Paper 2, reading and writing. We're going to use the extended paper to model the answers on. However, if you decide to go ahead and do the core paper, practically everything that I show you for today's session, which is going to be focused on exercise 1, will also be applicable to you regardless of whether you do extended or core. Now, as most of you already know, the text in exercise 1 for extended and core are identical, as are the questions from 1 through to question 8. So questions 1 to 8 are exactly the same, regardless of whether you do Cambridge Core or Cambridge Extended. The only difference is those of you who decide to go ahead and do Extended, you will also have question 9 towards the end, which is worth 4 marks. Okay, so exercise 1, the first thing that I advise my students to do when working on this text is to skim the text. And what I mean by that, most of you have already heard that phrase before, is literally look at the title of the text, look at any pictures, get an idea of what the text is about by reading the first sentence of every paragraph. It is not necessary for you to read the whole text. You do not need to read the whole text before you start to answer the questions. So what we're going to do now is go through that together. I'm going to read the title, look at the picture, and then go through the first sentence of every paragraph. And I usually tell my students to do this within 60 seconds, just to give them an idea of what the text is about. So, the Socotra dragon tree. This is a picture of a tree. I'm assuming it is the Socotra dragon tree. It looks quite exotic, quite unusual. Okay, so I already know just by looking at the first line of every paragraph that we're talking about this particular tree, the Socotra dragon tree. It's located on the Socotra Island. It's a very old tree and a very old island. I've got information already about the height of the tree from this paragraph here, and the fact that it's been used for centuries, and so on and so forth. So I've got an idea of what the text is about. Now I look at question number 1. Which country is the island of Socotra a part of? Now, first thing I advise students is always highlight the keywords or information in the text. So the first thing we have here is which country, very important, and is the island of Socotra a part of? Okay, what this process does is it prepares you to find the correct answer in the text. So now I know I'm already going to be honing in on a country when I read the text. Which country, okay, is the island a part of? I'm going to go straight up to paragraph 1 because it's question 1. So the answers in this text are sequential. That means that they come in order. So question number 1 is highly likely to be somewhere around here. Okay, question number 1 will probably be somewhere around here. Question number 2 will probably be somewhere around here. Question 3, and so on and so forth. Okay, now these are just kind of it's just a rough outline, but let's see if that theory works. It works on every single paper that I've seen and worked with students on. So paragraph 1, the Socotra dragon tree is an unusual tree as it looks rather like an open umbrella. It is found on the island of Socotra off the coast of Africa. Okay, so not in the name of a country, but I'm going to highlight it anyway. Although the island is nearer to Somalia than Yemen, it actually belongs to the latter. Okay, so the reason why I've highlighted these 3 words here is because they are either names of countries or they refer to a region, okay, or a continent in this case. Now the question clearly asks, which country is the island of Socotra a part of? Which country? Africa is not a country, so let's just get rid of that. Okay, it's not going to be Africa. Although the island is nearer to Somalia than Yemen, it actually belongs to the latter. The latter mean the later one, which is this one here, the one that was mentioned second. Therefore, the answer is Yemen. And as you can see, question number 1 appeared right at the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to come back down to the question here and just write in Yemen. And you'll notice that I'm only going to write in the name of the country. Common mistake for many students to do is to ramble on when they write the answer and lift out whole sentences, and there's no need. And sometimes what you can do is you can lose your mark, because if you add in information that makes your answer ambiguous or unclear, you could lose the answer. Okay, so for example, if you were to have lifted this entire sentence here, although the island is nearer to Somalia than Yemen, it actually belongs to the latter, you would not have got that mark. And the reason is, in your answer, you would have had Somalia and Yemen. So as an examiner or as a teacher, the first thing I say to myself is, okay, does this student know which country it is? Because the students mentioned both. And we know that the answer is actually Yemen. Okay, so make sure that you're very precise and very specific in how you respond. Okay, so question number 2, let's move on to the next question. What percentage of Socotra's plants can only be found on the island? Again, highlight the key words. What percentage of the plants can only be found on the island? Okay, only be found on the island. Now, again, I say to myself, the answer is going to be percentage, because it says what percentage. This is important, what percentage of plants, because it may give me percentages of other things. Remember, as you saw in question number 1, they'll never make it as easy, or very rarely do they make it easy as just giving you one option. So in question number 1, they give you Africa as the name of a continent, they gave you Somalia as the name of a country, and Yemen as the name of another country. You are expected to be able to find the correct country. Here it's saying what percentage. I can almost guarantee that in the text, they are going to give you more than one percentage, but you need to know which percentage are you looking for. The percentage that we're looking for is the plants that can only be found on the island. So only means something that is maybe unique. Okay, I'm just thinking of synonyms because this will help me find the answer, or special. Okay, on the island. So I'm going to go to the text again now. What percentage are unique and can only be found on the island? Now, question number 1 was found here. Therefore, I'm guessing question number 2 is going to be around here, but let's continue from where we finished off. The island of Socotra has been separated from the mainland for 34 million years, and this has led to its unique flora. Nothing mentioned about the percentage of flowers being unique or special there. Remember, the key word here is what percentage. Of the 825 different species found, there are there we go, found something. 37% do not occur anywhere else in the world. And the same is true of 90% of its reptiles. Okay, so I've got two different percentages here, as mentioned. Now I need to know which percentage is the correct one. The question says, what percentage of Socotra's plants can only be found on the island? Plants. Go back up. 37% do not occur anywhere else in the world. What is this 37% occurring to? Let's go back to the beginning of the sentence. Of the 825 different plant species found there, 37%. Good. So this is talking about the plants, and it says that they do not occur anywhere else in the world, which means they can only be found on the island. This is the correct answer. There is my answer. Oh, here is my answer. Now I'm just going to confirm that the second percentage is actually not the answer that I'm looking for. And the same is true of 90% of its reptiles. Reptiles being animals. Therefore, we know this is definitely not the correct answer. So the answer is 37%. Come back down to the text and just write 37%. Okay. Now, you may choose to write 37% in words. And write the percent instead of using the percentage sign. You may write percent as a word. I always advise students to lift the answer directly from the text. So as is written, just put it into the gap underneath the question itself. Okay. Question number 3. Again, we're going to follow the same technique every single time. Question number 3. Read the question, highlight the keywords, and then try to make an educated guess as to what the answer may be. Okay. So how tall do dragon trees typically grow? How tall do dragon trees typically grow? Okay. How tall, very important. Do the trees typically grow? Okay, how tall do the trees typically grow? Now, again, I'm going to think to myself, if it's talking about a tree and how tall, I'm going to get some sort of measurement. Okay, and I think it's probably going to be in meters, because we're talking about a tree. You wouldn't usually measure a tree in centimeters, and you certainly wouldn't measure a tree in kilometers. So I'm thinking it's going to be meters. How tall do the dragon trees typically grow? Typical, usually. Yeah. So how tall do the dragon trees typically grow? Let's go to the top now. Question number 2. We found the answer here. Question 2. So there's no need for me to go back up here. You'll not be expected in the text to be jumping up and down. Okay, from questions 1 to 8, they're all sequential. You will not be expected to go back on yourself. So let's continue reading from where we finished, which was here. Because of these factors, there is increased tourism to the area. While this is improving the island's economy, it has also resulted in more building work, which has had an impact on the islands, on the areas where the trees live. Reaching an average height of 10 meters, we go, average height of 10 meters. I'm going to read to the end of the sentence. The trees are commonly found in the Haja Mountains and the flat areas in the center and east of the island. Okay. Now you notice that I stopped reading at the end of the sentence, which obviously is marked with a full stop. The reason for that is the meaning of a sentence can change. If you do not read to the end of the sentence, sometimes the meaning of the sentence can change. So it's very important that you always read to the end of the sentence just to make sure that something isn't put in there to throw you off. But I know already I can see nothing in that. Change the meaning in this example. Question asked me again. Let's just double check. How tall do Socotra dragon trees typically grow? I've got a height here. They grow up to 10 meters and they typically, which means average. There we go. So the answer is an average height of 10 meters. Now, I'm going to select this for my answer, 10 meters, because the question clearly says how tall. 10 meters. Now, you'll notice something, I'd like to point this out to you as well. The question number 2 is asking us for a percentage, and we could clearly see the percentage was written as digits. Okay. Question number 3, although I assumed that the answer was going to be written in meters, and it was, they didn't write it in digits. So they did not write 10 meters as in 10m, okay, or even 10 meters as in the word. They decided to use the word, write the number out in letters, okay? So it's very important that you just bear that in mind. Numbers or statistics may not always be given in digits. So because it was written in words, I've also written my answer in words. Where they gave me the answer in digits, I gave the answer in digits as well. And again, this is just playing safe. Sometimes if we misspell a word, we can end up writing another word, and that could end up costing us the answer, or the mark rather. So question number 3 was located here. And we're going to go into question number 4. And you can see it's the same technique every single time. Read the question, highlight the keywords, try to make an educated guess as to what the answer may be. Question number 4, what enables the dragon trees to grow well in particular locations on the island? So what enables the trees to grow well in particular locations, in specific locations? What helps them to grow well in specific locations? Now, I don't know, much about this topic, but when I just think to myself, what helps a tree grow within a specific location on an island, or what helps plants grow in general? The first thing that comes to my mind is light, okay, or sunlight, okay, maybe rain, maybe the soil, perhaps, yeah. So I've got some ideas now. Let's see what we find in the text. So what enables the Socotra dragon trees to grow well in particular locations on the island? Important that I've got this information here, because that's going to help me focus my reading now. What helps that plants grow, the trees grow? I'm going to continue from where we stopped. These regions experience frequent low clouds at certain times of the year, okay, which provide the trees with moisture they need. Already, there we go. So I found something. So they get frequent low clouds, okay, which at certain times of the year, which provides the trees with the moisture they need. So it gives them the moisture that they need. Yeah, a bit more specific here. What does it give them? Moisture. Okay. Now, what enables them to grow? I'm going to choose one of them. I think some of the questions there will be more than one option, so I think you'll probably be allowed both of these. We'll check the mark scheme later on. Frequent low clouds help them to grow, and the moisture helps them to grow. Okay, so I'm just going to choose the word moisture as my answer there. Okay, so again, if we go back to the words that I wrote down at the beginning when I was trying to make an educated guess, you can see that actually light, sunlight, rain, soil, I wasn't far off. Okay, it helped me hone in on that answer. Question number 5, let's carry on again. Same technique, read the question and try to highlight the keywords and then make an educated guess. 3 steps. How is the substance that the Socotra dragon tree produces used today? How is the substance that the Socotra dragon tree produce used today? Okay. How is the substance trees produce used today? Okay. Again, I just think to myself, what do we usually use trees for? The substance that they produce. I'm just guessing. Oils. What else could we use them for? Creams, maybe. I don't know. Oils, creams. Remedies. Yeah. Or cures for illnesses. Medicine. Yeah. So I'm just thinking of all of these different ideas of what the answer could be before I go into the text. Now, I'm thinking out aloud, of course. When you do the exam, you're not going to be writing all of this information along the sides. This is just for practice purposes. But the more you do this, the quicker you become. Okay, and then what happens in the exam is you just end up highlighting the keywords and then jumping up into the text and trying to find the answer. So let's go to the top. Let's just remind myself of what the question is again. How is the substance the trees produce used today? How substance tree produce? Okay, so question number 4, just remind myself, was here. Question 4. So I'm going to continue reading from here because that's where we stopped. Okay. However, because of climate change, the amount of rain is decreasing, which scientists think will have an effect on the trees. The dragon tree has been important for centuries. Okay. The tree produces a sticky liquid called resin. Okay, getting closer. And this is taken as a medicine by the people on the island and in many parts of the world. There you go. So it produces a sticky liquid called resin, and it's taken as a medicine by many people on the island. Now, let me just remind myself of what the question was, because I don't need all of that writing. How is the substance, how is it used today? Okay, as a medicine. So let's get rid of all of this. I just need, it's used as a medicine. Okay. As a medicine. And you can see, actually, one of the words that I guessed, or one of the potential answers was the same, medicine, right? But even if had I not have guessed medicine, oils, creams, remedies, cures for illnesses, they were all very close and related. Question 6, again, we're going to read the question, highlight the keywords, and try to guess what the answer may be. Now, question 6 is the only question I'd like to just draw your attention to. You'll see that questions number 1 to 4 or 1 to 5, the answers are very specific, 1 or 2 words, 3 words. But with question 6, where it asks you to give 2 details, I've found that when I go over these papers, and we do a lot of these papers with our students, this is the one question where you tend to have a slightly long answer. And I think the clue is given in the question where it says give 2 details. Okay, so how do the trees' leaves benefit Socotra dragon trees? So again, I'm just gonna, how the trees' leaves benefit, okay, the trees. So how do the trees' leaves benefit the tree? So how would the trees' leaves benefit the tree? I'm now going to try to think to myself, what kind of things could I find? Okay, so leaves provide shade, maybe. Leaves also could absorb sunlight. Okay, they might provide protection, maybe. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. So the leaves could provide shade, they could absorb the sunlight, protection. The aim is not to guess the right answer. The aim is to prepare my brain for what the answer could be. So now I'm going to go up into the top. How do the tree's leaves benefit the tree? So I'm just going to question 5 here, because that's the one we just found a minute ago, and carry on reading from the end of the sentence. Question 6 is here. As early as 60 CE, people referred to this resin as cinnabar, and this is in the 18th centuries. I'm just going to read quietly to myself. World famous violin. Okay, so there's nothing here about the tree's leaves. The design of the tree's leaves is important. Here we go. We've got leaves. They measure up to 60 centimeters long, okay, and only 3 centimeters wide. When rain falls on the surface of each leaf, the long, narrow shape allows the tiny drops of water to run down to the roots of the tree. There we go. Okay, so When rain falls on the surface of each leaf, the long, narrow shape allows tiny drops of water to run down to the roots of the tree. Okay, that's the answer, but I'll go back to the question. It says give two details. So the leaves are densely packed and provide shade. There we go. Provide shade for young trees growing beneath the adult tree. Okay, now I'm not happy with this first one because it seems very long. The long, narrow shape allows tiny drops of water to run down to the roots of the tree. I'm just going to I'm going to highlight allows tiny drops of water to run down to the roots of the tree. There you go. Okay, so they're my two answers here for question number 6. Question number 7. Okay, now just again, you can see that the length of the answer for question 6, they give you that amount of space because it's needed. And just another thing to bear in mind as well is that you'll notice I didn't start writing off the line. I made sure that I kept the answer on the dotted line itself. They give you the line for a reason. Make sure that the answer that you give is on the line because anything else will not be considered. So just be careful of that. Question number 7. What color are the Socotra dragon tree's mature berries? Okay, this sounds like an easy one, right? So I've got what color, okay, are the tree's mature berries, okay? Now, already in my head, I know when I go back to question number 1, I remember which country, what percentage. They gave me more than one country. What percentage? They gave me more than one percentage. So the answer seems quite straightforward. It's going to be a color, but I can almost guarantee now, when I go into that text, it's going to be, or I'm going to be given more than one color. So I need to be very specific. What color are the tree's mature berries? Okay, the mature berries means the old berry, not older berries or fully grown berries. Okay, it's probably a closer synonym there, right? So fully grown berries, what color are they? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to continue reading. Question number 6 ended here, therefore we will continue reading here. Socotra dragon tree leaves have traditionally been harvested and used to make ropes. If there is increased demand for ropes, the effect on the trees could be a concern. Like the leaves, the flowers appear at the ends of the branches. They are small, greenish white in color. So I'm just going to highlight that as a color there. They are small and greenish white in color and produce green berries which gradually turn black as they ripen. They become orange when they are fully ripe. Farmers on the island feed the berries to their animals and they are thought to be... Okay, so there's nothing else about colors beyond that point. So now I've got a choice again, as I assumed there would be more than one option for color. So which color is it? I'm going to go back to the question and remind myself of what the key words were. What color are the tree's mature berries? So we said mature means something that's fully grown. When they're small, greenish white in color, okay, they produce green berries when they are small, okay, and produce green berries which gradually turn black as they ripen, okay. They become orange when they are fully ripe. So they become orange when they are fully ripe. Therefore, the answer was orange, right? They become orange when they are fully ripe, which means when they are mature. Question 7. So it asked me just for the color, so I'm just going to write the color, orange. Question number 8. Same technique. Read the questions, highlight the keywords, and try to make an educated guess before you go and look for the answer. What problem must people be aware of when feeding berries to their animals? Okay, so what problem, okay, problems when feeding berries to animals. What problems would they face when feeding berries to animals? Okay, so ask myself, okay, what problems could occur when you feed berries to an animal? I don't know, they get sick, okay, maybe they could die. Maybe it could have side effects, yeah. Let's leave it at that. So they get sick, have side effects, they could die perhaps. Let's go up to the text. Question 7 ended here, so we continue. Farmers on the island feed the berries to their animals. Here we go. As they are thought to be good for them. Okay, but it doesn't talk about problems because the question said, what problem must people be aware of? So they're thought to be good for them. Eating too many, though, can cause sickness, which is why they are only given in small quantities. Eating too many, though, can cause sickness. Eating too many can cause sickness. Go back to the question. Which word do I want to look for? What problem? Cause sickness. Eating too many can cause sickness. Right. Can cause sickness. And in fact, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just get rid of all of this and I'm going to write sickness. That's the problem. Because I try to write as fewer words as possible. So I'm going to, I'm just going to use this as my answer here. Sickness. And that was question number 8. And you can see the same technique I've applied throughout the whole text. Read the question, highlight the keywords, try to make an educated guess, then come back. And you can see here, the guesses that I made for this question, it becomes sick, it could die, it could have certain side effects, and the answer was sickness. Okay, so for those of you who decide to go on and do the extended paper, this question will apply to you, question 9. Now, the technique that we employ is going to be pretty much the same as what we've done for all of the questions. The only difference is you'll find that the answers may not be in sequence for this question. So you may be expected to go up and down throughout the text to find the answer. But we'll look now and we'll see where it takes us. So what factors can negatively affect the future of the Socotra dragon trees? Okay, what factors negatively affect the future, okay, of the trees? Again, I mean, what usually would affect or negatively affect the future of trees? Global warming, okay, people building maybe on their habitat, tourism might be an issue for the trees themselves. So again, just people maybe, the increased demand of medicine maybe, because I think when we go back to one of the questions, how is the substance, it's usually used as a medicine, so maybe there's been an increase in demand of the medicine, okay? Medicines. Let's write medicines there. Just write some notes to get myself ready. Okay, so let's go to the top and let's have a look. So, okay, so it's giving me 4 details. So I'm going to go right to the top of the text because, as mentioned, the last question, the answers are not sequential. They're probably going to be scattered throughout. So let's see where they are. And there you have it. So you can see that the answers that I've just picked out were indeed selected from the entire text. And that was for the last question. Again, this only applies to these blue highlights, which were for question 9, if you end up doing the extended paper. And now let's see how our answers match up with the mark scheme. And there you have it. Full marks, same technique employed for every single question. Highlight the keywords, then think of synonyms for the keywords in the question and try to make an educated guess as to what the answer may be, and then work your way through the text and the answers will appear sequentially for all of the questions up to question 9.